Check. Ha ha.
What if I included that in the beginning?
Go ahead and
I probably won't.
Yeah.
I probably won't. It sounds ha ha.
Sounds like I'm crazy. It's fine. So.
All right.
How was your week?
It was a good week.
Yeah?
It was a good week. It's, a couple times recently, you and I have turned to each other and been like, man, these are the days.
Yeah. Funny realization to have sometimes that, like, wow, we're...
Yeah, it's like, it's not deja vu. It's like going forward in time and then looking back to where you are now and being like, man, this is the good stuff.
Right.
I mean, like, just this weekend, let's see, we had a duo gig on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier that day, I hiked in the Rocky Mountains with my friend Suzanne.
Mm-hmm.
The day before, Friday, I water skied in the morning, and
Right.
we had a duo rehearsal that was fun, super fun. And then on Sunday, I water skied again, and I think and we shot a music video.
Shot a music video.
And then went out
the main thing.
for a beer at a local brewery. I mean,
Yeah.
How much better can life get?
I know.
Feel very lucky.
Yep. These are the good old days.
Yeah.
Unless things are going to get way better. I don't... Maybe,
We're going to look back and be like, oh, we thought we had it good then.
Yeah.
We had no idea. Nah.
Yeah. That's ridiculous to even think about.
What should we start with?
Gosh, well...
Oh, I had other things I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
That weren't even those things we did. So before I forget them, I will get into them. One of them is my bass playing, my ongoing bass practice. So I recorded my playing at the last Cody Qualls gig. I just put my phone on my pedal board and pointed it back toward my amp, not thinking that it would capture anything, but dang, these iPhones are good now. So I sent some clips of that show to my bass teacher, Nate.
Right.
And he gave me some things to work on. And the interesting thing that I got out of this feedback was one of his biggest observations for me was that my note releases have some sizzle or click on them. And that can be from lack of right hand muting, or it can be from right hand muting but the hand coming back onto the string too hard.
Whacking it.
Which I have recorded. He said, record yourself and listen back, see if, maybe you're not doing it at home, but you're doing it in a live situation. And the thing is, I didn't even know that was a sound that was undesirable. That's the thing. So, like, it's training your ears. Like, it's training what to expect. Like, I could listen to, name a famous bass player and compare my bass playing to them and be like, yes, it sounds different. Obviously, we're different bass players. It's going to sound different. But I didn't know what to be picky about before.
That's a great point.
And similar to in learning to sing, I've learned what to be picky about. Like, everybody's voice is different, but I did not know until maybe 2 or 3 years ago, certain vowel shapes that I wanted to, like, that most people need to be, kind of corralled to. Like, I didn't know what to listen for. And so I think one of the things that happens when you get more advanced in a study of an instrument is knowing what to listen for. You can't do it all on your own. You can't just listen to, example bassist or drummer or piano player or singer and just try to imitate them, which was a large part of how I taught myself in the beginning, is I would try to imitate as much as I could. But I didn't know what was making me sound unpolished. And that's exactly what I just learned for bass.
On bass, yeah. Oh my God, that used to be... I don't know what changed. That used to be a major problem with recording, is that bass players were super clanky and would be always slapping the string into the fretboard, or even some people would like mash the string into the pickup and you would get these just really unmusical like and some people you couldn't stop them from doing it, so your only hope was to just record like 10 times of them doing it and then edit around the clanks and, because it was just unusable.
Well, I have had to go back and significantly change how I play. This has been like one of those situations where you go to a new teacher, say you've taught yourself to play drums, and then you finally start taking drum lessons and you're like, whoa, I've been holding the sticks wrong the whole time.
Right.
I feel like I'm in one of those right now where I've slowed everything way down. I used to not move my thumb down. I would only move my thumb down from the lowest string to the next string, and I wouldn't move it down further because of the way that my bone is shaped and my hand is shaped. Like I couldn't, if I moved it down further, then the low strings would start ringing. So I had to literally change my hand position, which changes the way that my fingers touch the strings, which like everything is changing. It's a completely different way to play now. I feel like I'm a complete beginner again, but I have some good right hand muting going on now. Very good right hand muting. I'm like, I'm going to fix this issue.
Yeah. Well, and that is how you get better at stuff, is you sometimes to the point that it is a real bummer, but you have those realizations where you go, oh my gosh, I have been doing that wrong. Or what I'm doing doesn't sound good and I just didn't hear it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
the other thing that's weird about music and probably every hobby, not hobby, but pursuit, is as you get better, your ability to hear what good is keeps going up.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people might say I'm a good guitar player, but having put the guitar time into guitar that I have, when I hear the greats, I'm hearing really how good it actually is. It's like it's on a different but I guess it should always be that way. I say that all the time. I've probably said it a million times on the podcast. You should always feel like you have room to get better. Mm-hmm. Like, if you feel like you've got it figured out, then something's wrong.
Right.
So anyway,
I started with the lesson.
That's great, though. That's a great lesson. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we usually save the lessons for the end so we can be all light and fun at the beginning, but I didn't want to forget it because I just thought of it.
No, that was fun. That was good. It was great.
I saw you roll your eyes. I knew you were kind of facing that way.
Yeah. Sorry. Just goofing around.
I'm always too serious.
What else was going on?
We had our second duo gig of the year. And so the only one. We don't do them very much. Yeah, so we have two this year. It was in an interesting place.
Yeah.
This was a hookup through someone I've known for quite a while, Miguel Cruz. He goes by the name of Cruz. I don't even remember how we met, but we've known each other in the music scene for quite some time.
Right.
And his neighbor, Dan, owns a live edge lumber yard. So it's a lumber yard where they salvage wood and they create live edge lumber, like those, like bar tops that have like the live edge on them.
Right.
And it was basically a junkyard when he bought it, and he and his wife have cleaned it up, really cleaned it up, and created a place. He hand built a stage, a covered stage.
Out of like crazy sawn up. They do mostly salvage of trees. Some of them quite old, and some of them just newer, where someone's cut down a tree and they're like, "What do you do with the tree?" Mm-hmm. But yeah, just cut these, and he was showing me the sawmill thing, and so yeah, the place was amazing. This crazy hand built stage, and it
was funny as we drove up to it too, because it's in like a not nice area.
Yeah.
it's that quadrant that's, let's see, it's north of 76 and west of I-25, like just barely north of 76.
Right.
So the northwest area of that whole 70-25.
Right, and it's back in the triangle.
Yeah, so you're like driving through like just junk. There's, automotive yards and junkyards and stuff. And then you turn into his place and you drive down to the end and there's like this nice stage with lights and there's a fire pit and he's going to build an old-timey saloon.
Yeah,
he's creating a place.
It's pretty cool. Gig went well.
Yeah.
There were some dumb mistakes.
You forgot to put the capo on the right place a couple times.
Yeah.
My voice is not as low as it was 2 weeks ago. It's so weird.
Yeah.
I had to change keys on stuff when we rehearsed on Friday just because I didn't have access to the same low notes as normal. And that just happens. Like, you can never... Singers, don't ever put songs in the lowest possible key for yourself because you don't always have your lowest notes.
That's a great, yeah.
I should know by now.
Yeah, but that's a great tip.
I love that sound. Maybe not that sound. But
Did I miss some capos?
there was one that we had moved up from 2 to 3 and you put it on 2.
Okay.
And then there was that one that I told you, it was Psycho Killer should have been on 2 and you had it on 0. Didn't have it on.
Right.
So
Because I did the other one.
Psycho Killer, Qu'est-ce que c'est, fa 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 better.
I did the other Talking Heads song capo too.
Oh, okay.
Is how that got messed up.
Maybe they both needed it.
I learned a lesson at that show, which is, luckily enough, Ralph from Funk It Up.
Band.
Cool funk band. And they were nice enough to let us use their sound. And music, who knows, maybe everything, but definitely for me in music, it's like I relearn lessons every 5 years. Like I do something dumb and I'm like, oh, that's dumb. And then I remember for a while and then I make the mistake again and I have to like relearn the lesson.
So what are you talking about?
I'm talking about not carefully checking. Ralph was nice enough to put up the mic stand.
Oh, yeah.
In the cables, and I assumed, because lead vocal would be 1 and my vocal would be 2, and I had no reason to assume that. He didn't know where we were going to stand, and I thought your channel was my channel and vice versa.
Right.
So during the show, I made some changes and so on and so forth, and stuff was backwards, and it was just one of those like dumb. Like, look and make sure you know for sure what channel is what channel.
I assumed too. I actually thought that I followed the cable, and I guess I didn't follow it correctly. I thought I checked.
Yeah. So at one point,
you sang.
I sang, and my voice was unbelievably loud in the monitor, which does not help me personally. And I was trying to turn it down, and what I was doing was turning down yours. Oh. And it was also bone dry, like no effects on it.
Right, because I had the effects processor on mine, so I wanted it dry.
We turned off all the effects, and I thought I was putting effects on my vocals so that I could...
Mm-hmm. So you could like how you sounded a little better?
Yeah. A nice little reverb tail on stuff. When your voice has no effect on it, it is...
It's revealing. It's harsh.
Well, I mean, when you hear a voice in a room, like right now, you don't think about it, but there's reverb on our voice. There is the room echo on our voice, and you don't really hear it, but it gives a sense of that's how you're used to hearing voices. Mm-hmm. And when you sing directly into a microphone, you're getting no room reflection, so you have to add those back in artificially. And when you don't have that, it's like someone being right in your ear, and that's what it felt like to me trying to sing, and it was not good. I kind of ate it on that one, but
I thought you did okay.
I did okay for eating it, like you know what I mean? Like it's like, okay, well if that's really eating it, like that wasn't too bad for falling down. And then, gosh, music video. Hopefully we finished up shooting that.
I think we might have. We have a lot of footage, that's for sure. So it was day 2, 2 weeks separated, of shooting for the You Don't Want My Love music video.
Right.
New set of crew, new group of women and girls. Really fun again. We hit some different locations, did some different kinds of shots. We got some verse footage that we needed. We'd gotten a lot of upbeat, like crazy footage, and we needed a little bit more chill stuff to fill out the first half.
Yeah. Amazing group though. Lexi came, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Lexi, my buddy. And gosh, Lily was there. Kristen was there.
Mm-hmm. Jenny Cheyenne came.
Yeah, Jenny. Yeah, Jenny. She looked amazing. Super cool.
Yeah.
Just rock star. Yeah. So now comes the cutting it together. But we had a lot of fun. And boy, if you are looking for interesting places to shoot video, West Colfax, the arts district out on West Colfax. Honestly, I would highly recommend that even if you're not shooting video, just going down there, even driving around. there were so many interesting buildings and murals, and obviously Rhino, where we work all the time, is full of building murals and stuff. But West Colfax is just such a cool mix of very hip, well done murals, and then just fascinating, crumbling, very old buildings.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting mix. I read today that Colfax is, I think they said 145 years old. That was the main street.
Yeah.
And it was, of course, Route 66. But it's just got all these old buildings mixed in with these new fancy apartments, and then there's amazing murals. Just really, West Colfax is worth checking out if you're in Denver or from here or whatever.
Yeah.
We had a blast scouting and just going around and hanging out. So yeah, music video shoot.
Uh-huh.
Hoping we're done. We may have a shot or two to get. I think we need to get Alice, and we may need to.
Alice is just gonna shoot themselves.
Oh, that works.
Actually.
Yeah, but we can grab. But we may need to grab. Anyway, music video on the way. For me, I'm of course full scale working on Daniel Mendez's EP. Hopefully that is done soon. We're really putting the work in, but I think it's paying off. And also really getting up to speed working on Cody Quall's new EP that is coming this November. I'm producing and engineering and playing on it and all that stuff. But we had a blast the other night.
Sharing our brain.
Sharing a brain.
Like we do all the time.
Attempting to put together a set list. And it was just so much fun. I had a blast working on putting together set lists.
It's so important.
Oh,
it's just, you can't overstate how, in my opinion, how important the right set list is. Like, it's, if you went to a restaurant and they came up and gave you a bowl of ice cream, and then they gave you the menu, and then they brought you a salad, and then they were like, hey, would you like something to drink? Like, out of order, completely out of order.
Exactly.
It would make no sense to you. You need to know, like, there's an order that things typically go. And every band is different, of course, and every gig is different, so we do change things based on the audience and the situation. But there's still kind of an overarching set of rules to this stuff. And we had a lot of fun, going through Cody's song list and putting together three different set lists.
Right.
So a headliner set, which is, a longer night, an opener set, which is a shorter set, a single set, and a festival/dance set.
Right.
So, like, if you're not playing in front of people and the job is to be a dance band.
Right.
What does that set look like? I don't know if we'll use all of them, and I don't know how much Cody will want to change, but it's really fun to put together. Like, it's just like, it's making something.
Yeah. It's so much. I was just having a conversation with someone this evening. The set list is so much of making a show a show. What we started talking about was everything where people are standing on a stage playing music, and there are people standing seated in the audience, whatever, listening to the music. That's a concert. But not all concerts are shows. And that's the thing I know I've been obsessed with since I was a teenager. Like, a show is just something different. Like, I just didn't go see some guys play 15 random songs. I saw a show.
I had an experience.
I had an experience. It led me somewhere.
It made me feel something.
It took me on a journey.
Yeah.
And that is like, oh my gosh, I get passionate about it. Like, thinking about it, talking about it, I just love it. It's amazing. And the other analogy I used is it's sort of like a movie where, like, every movie, it might be a space movie versus a cowboy movie versus a whatever, but all movies have sort of the same rhythm.
Yeah.
You get in and get to know the characters, and some exciting stuff happens, and then there's the big dramatic whatever, and then the character has his lowest point where he's not sure, it looks like he's not gonna win, and then he somehow battles it out and wins. And every movie kind of takes you on that journey, and really in like so many of the same beats, so many of the same rhythms. But that's what we as people like. And you can make rock shows do that same kind of thing where they have the high point and the low point. And I don't know. I love it. And it's just a blast sitting around with you and like debating how it's going to, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird because I think it's also like, it's an art. And I think to a degree it's a science. But then also there's a little bit of magic to it. You just got to try it. You can't predict it perfectly.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to try it and develop it. And the things you thought were for sure going to work don't work. And then, you know. But the example I was giving too is, you know, Vic has said several times there's the one part of the Tom Petty show where I get a standing ovation pretty much every time, which sounds kind of braggy to say, but as I always point out, like, it doesn't really have that much to do with what I actually did or what I actually played. It's the placement in the journey of the set. You have to get the big ovation or applause because they've been wanting to express, they've been wanting to give some energy back the whole time. And then it's just placed just right.
Yeah.
And then they have to. That's the science part of it. It's almost like math, where you're like, well, if X and Y and this, then it has to work out that way. Or the crowd isn't with you and they're not going with you on the journey. That can happen too. But if they're going with you on the journey, they have to have that response right there.
Yeah. Because
it just adds up.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been talking a lot about that lately. But anyway... what else do you think?
Well, just tonight I got home from teen band. So speaking of set lists, we made one.
Cool.
I mean, it's not according to any formula. It's basically like what's this is most of their first shows, you know, and the songs are kind of hanging together pretty well most of the time. So the question in this case is not how are we going to create a show, it's how are we going to get through the concert successfully.
Very different things. Yeah. Those are very different things.
You can't create a show until all the songs are super solid. And right now we're still trying to get through the songs super solid. It's going to be really fun. Some of them are sounding good. We still have one more rehearsal.
Right.
Oh, next Monday. And then the show. Oh, man, it's coming up quickly. But, yeah, so the set list is just a list of songs for us in this situation.
And that can be fine, too. And
that's where you start.
That's where you start. And, gosh, I've been listening to a podcast that's about, it's mainly comedians talking shop. Like, the host is a comedian, and he has comedian guests, and they talk about doing stand-up. And I'm just kind of interested in anything artsy, and they say so many of the things we say, even though it's a different whatever. But they were talking about the thing I always talk about, like it's especially when you're learning and working it out, or even past that. It's so great to push yourself beyond your safe limits because your failures. I'm trying not to curse here. Your failures, the times when you eat it. You learn so much more from that than the times that it went well. I mean, in some ways, you don't learn anything from it going well.
Right. And you have a nice, great experience.
Yeah. You know, but it's so great to push yourself sometimes and get out there on the stage and do a whole set, which doing a set is so different. We tell people that all the time. Like, you should... At some point in your practicing, you need to start practicing stuff like song to song to song, because that's very different than working on one song for 20 minutes and then moving over to another song.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's going to be great. I mean, there's a bunch of killers in that band. Yeah, should go great. And gosh, isn't the showcase coming up? The Oriental Theater.
Yeah.
August 28th. Mm-hmm. How many songs is it? It's at least 40 songs.
For the live band showcase portion of it that you're playing guitar on.
Yeah. So 40 songs.
Preceded by 3 student bands.
Right. Right.
Woof.
It's going to be a long day. It starts at 2 p.m, something like that.
Yeah, and load-in is at 1:30, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be a heck of a day.
Yeah. This is amazing, too, because do you remember back when I tried to run a showcase and only 2 people signed up?
Right.
And both of those people are still clients at Performance High. That's Doug and
That is right.
Jonathan.
That is right.
And so instead of going to a venue and only having like 5 songs or to play or whatever, we turned it into a jam, and we just kind of had a showcase in Studio One.
Right. But now it's, we're playing one of the, not bigger theaters in town, but definitely one of my favorite theater. I've talked about it on the podcast. I love the Oriental. That place is weird. That is like some Stephen King stuff should be happening in the Oriental. Like, it's totally like, that is an old, creepy,
It's kind of
ghosty
funny,
theater.
too, how you can walk behind the whole stage, even while the show's going on.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see out.
Right.
Through that. So, like, the backdrop...
And they can't see you. There's
right.
a big...
There's just these little tiny pinholes, and the way the light hits the backdrop, it reflects off. So people watching can't see what's behind the backdrop, but if you're behind the backdrop, you can see out a little.
Yeah.
So you can kind of totally walk behind the whole stage. And
yeah, I just, and they're the nicest people there. Jeremy, the main sound guy, is killer. And so we will be there for the showcase, and about time for me to start learning some songs.
Excuse me?
Yeah. No. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. There's only a few. We're doing Alone by Heart, which for whatever reason people always want to do.
It's one of our repertoire songs.
Oh, okay. It comes up a fair amount being a repertoire song. And gosh, is that guitar solo weird.
Oh.
It's cool, and it's not even that hard. It's just not what you would expect.
I'm not sure I could sing it for you. I don't have it in my head.
I feel like it's one of those that they like punched in like lick by lick. Like no one played it all the way through. They just like do something and then do something else. No, not that. Try something. Okay, cool. And then we'll move on to the next bar. It just kind of like, it's really just all over the place. I mean, fantastic, but it's been driving me nuts.
That makes me think of how you described your solos at the duo gig.
Oh yeah, I was awful. I actually... I need to get... Not awful.
Awful for Justin. All that means is that his solos didn't tell stories.
I usually can get some sort of coherent, we kind of like maybe put out a theme and I play with the theme a little bit and then build it up and it gets higher and faster and whatever. And I was just like coming in, going fast and then going slow. And then it didn't have any sort of flow.
It was kind of funny because I've never seen you play that way before.
It was just like random guitar for as long as the guitar solo was. It's really, and I was watching myself do it, going like, "What are you doing?" Like, so I'm going to rededicate myself to working on improvising again because I think I got a weird screw loose or something as far as...
I think you just have a lot to do in the duo gig.
That might be.
You've got the looping pedal board plus your regular pedal board.
Which I want to do a video about. Not for the podcast, but just for general, whatever, kind of showing how we do the looping thing, which we did describe. And it is a lot to do.
You are on your toes.
Yeah. So that was part of... And I tried to just stretch out some solos and kill some time and... had a good groove going with the looper, and boy, I just could not.
Maybe you have to switch from a different part of your brain.
It
or
might
something.
be
like you're very like patch 69, capo 3, tempo 124. This click, gotta do this loop. This click, gotta do this loop. Gotta stop that thing, and then you have to switch over and solo and be creative.
Yeah, I know.
How can you even do that?
Yeah. It's funny that you noticed, especially being guitar deaf. It must have been noticeable.
I'm guitar deaf because everything you do is, to my ears, perfect, and it just lays in where it should go.
Oh, that's
and
so
when
nice.
I've told you this before.
Yeah.
But I am very picky on guitar when it's wrong. When it's like tasteless or too loud or bad tone, then I hear it.
Yeah.
So the fact that I'm guitar deaf to you just means that everything you do is perfect.
I will try to keep that in mind. No, it's weird. It was just like, forget, like I like to think of a good improvisation is like a paragraph. Or maybe more accurately, it's almost like an essay. There's a form where it's like, and I've talked to you, like during the old no address days, I was intentionally trying to invert the form.
Oh yeah.
So that I was always trying to do the first part last and make what should have been the first part of the solo the second part of the solo. And it was fine. It wasn't amazing or anything, but I was trying to like switch the, but this time, like, I was going to make it's like an essay where there's like your thesis paragraph and then your supporting things and your conclusion. And I just couldn't string a sentence together. I was playing tons of notes. I wasn't playing bad notes. They were all good, but it was like someone reading random words out of a dictionary. It's just like I don't know what was happening. Like I just couldn't get it together. It was such a weird feeling.
That's funny.
It's almost out of body or something. But I probably was just distracted and Anyway, gosh, 30 minutes. It's just that easy.
It always turns out like 29 to 32 minutes. It's funny.
Yeah.
It just feels like the right amount of time.
Sorry about the especially you, since you have to do most of the editing out.
Yeah, I leave a fair number of them in, but you guys don't know how many you are not being subjected to.
I think it's endearing.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you, guys.
See you next week.
See ya.